Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Saturday, April 2nd, Ian Cameron with Vito, our weekend man, with us once again, ready to break down the Saturday NHL card. It was a nice Friday night for yours truly with the plays. A best bet, unfortunately, was a letdown, as the New York Rangers were a letdown. But really, outside of that, it was a really good betting night. I mean, we swept with the Oilers and the over against the Blues, although the Oilers made it a heart attack waiting to happen. Couldn't hold multiple leads in that game, but they find a way in overtime. We swept the Ottawa-Detroit game. I took the Senators and the over. And look, I got a little fortunate with the over, no doubt. I mean, that was 1-1 going into the third period, and somehow it ends up 5-2 in favor of Ottawa. But we'll take it. And look, Matt Sogard, pretty good in his first start in the NHL last night for the Sens. So that was a good game for me as well. Certainly Nashville-Buffalo was. We were all over that with Rick Jeanneret being honored before the game, the legendary 51-year play-by-play voice of the Buffalo Sabres. Think about that. He's been in that job for 51 years as the voice of the Buffalo Sabres, Rick Jeanneret. Some people don't even live till they're 51, and he's basically spent 51 years broadcasting for the Buffalo Sabres. He is a legend indeed. He's as good a guy as he is a broadcaster, and the ceremony that they had for him was terrific, raising the banner to the rafters. His speech was very, very good as well. And the Sabres played like a team that wanted to put a good showing on the ice for their soon-to-be retired legendary broadcaster of the team, Rick Jeanneret, as they beat Nashville 4-3 last night. And the nice plus 170 underdog price as well with the Sabres in that game. And then they basically bring Rick onto the ice after the game to celebrate with the team. Just a magical night in Buffalo. And it was just something else to see the place packed again, to see everybody in the stands, to see a full house, a sellout for a Buffalo home game. That's been a long time since we've seen that for the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, they had everybody there. All his former broadcast partners were there. Jim Lorenz, Harry Neal. Yeah, it was just an absolutely wonderful night. And as someone that grew up a Sabres fan, and the reason I became a Sabres fan was not any one player. It was the guy they were honoring last night, Rick Jeanneret. That is why I became a Sabre fan. Because I just thought that guy he was funny. He was, he got into the game. He'd lose his voice. He'd crack his voice multiple times just because he got so excited calling the action. So, no, just a terrific night in Buffalo there for sure. What else did we see last night? Arizona getting drilled by Anaheim last night. Things got a little rough toward the end of the game. Trevor Zegras talking about very angrily about his teammate Troy Terry being punched multiple times last night by Jay Beagle as things got a little bit rough late in that game as well. So very busy Friday night, actually, for NHL action. Lots going on. The Islanders, as I mentioned, unfortunately for me, shut out the Rangers 3-0. Vegas continues to roll along 5-2, another win against Seattle. And Tampa Bay takes care of the struggling Chicago Blackhawks with a 5-2 win as well. Vito, what did you think of what we saw on Friday?
All right. Well, let's add the one game I guess you didn't talk about, which would be Oilers and Blues, right?
Yep.
So still a horrible goaltending for Mike Smith. All right. That's because they won. That's because they have the offense.
Yep.
A lot of
turnovers. Well, the one goal was terrible for him, right? Terrible. Yeah.
Just terrible, man. This Mike Smith. Oh my God. Like he's getting worse and worse with every game. I think. That's just not how you go to the playoffs.
Did you see how he ran down the ice when McDavid scored in overtime and just was shaking him like, thank you so much. Thank you for saving my ass.
He lets in 5 goals. I mean, yeah, that one goal which went somehow through his body. How's that possible? I don't know. But well, Mike Smith, possible to anything, so that's okay. Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay had a very great game. I think they didn't give any breathing space to Blackhawks. I mean, all 3 periods, played very well. Red Wings just keeps losing. I mean, cannot figure out their goaltending. I mean, right? So I think that's like a 5th or 6th loss for them in a row. Yeah, Zegras, you mentioned. Well, I would like to mention his goal. I mean, another Michigan from him this year. That's just crazy. Tries to go between the legs. Unfortunate. Takes takes the puck, goes around with his teammate with a Michigan score. Just crazy. That guy, yeah, putting up the show this season. I mean, and yeah, well, Sabres, great victory from them, 4-3. Yeah, for the Shishtorkin, I mean, he's like 1-6 against the Islanders. But I mean, how can you blame the guy? I mean, if you score 0 goals, So, I mean, 0-3, you score 0 goals. It's just bad team play there. I mean, you cannot blame the goalie. So, yeah, overall, that's it. I mean, for the night, I guess I ran through all the games here.
You're right about that. You can't blame Igor Shesterkin when the team gives you a goose egg in terms of goals scored. You can't put the puck in the net for the New York Rangers. Other guys have to do it, and unfortunately, nobody did for the New York Rangers last night. All right, let's go to Saturday's card. We've got a big one on tap. We have 9 games on the Saturday card, starting with the game that's going to start in about, I would say, 20 minutes from now. Florida Panthers, New Jersey Devils. We've got Florida minus 210, road favorites, 7 the total in this one. This total opened 6.5. It's been bet up to 7 in a lot of spots. Florida, obviously a team playing pretty good hockey when you look at it, no question. They've brought back-to-back victories against Montreal and Chicago, but it's not exactly a great duo that they beat there. We keep that in mind. They lost 5-2 to Toronto on the road. Before that, they in Ottawa, they escaped with a 4-3 shootout win against Montreal, a 4-3 narrow victory there, 3-0 win in Anaheim. They lost at Vegas 5-3. They barely beat San Jose 3-2, lost to LA in a shootout. Look, I mean, Florida's playing well, but they haven't faced a brutal schedule, and they've actually been challenged by some of these weaker teams. They barely beat Ottawa, barely beat Montreal in a couple of these games, barely beat San Jose. And we know that on the road, this team's a little bit more vulnerable. They're just terrific at home, 28-6. But, on the road, they're 18-15. So they're at least a little bit more vulnerable when they're playing away from home. And I dare I say it, I might try to make a case for the Devils here because they are off an absolutely embarrassing loss to Boston, obviously, 8-1 the other night against the Bruins. We know they've got the firepower to score goals. There's no question about that. Defensively, goaltending, that's been the areas where they've been having issues throughout the course of the season. No question about that. We'll see if they bounce back strong here. I don't care what the record is for a team, but any team in the spot New Jersey is in today, where they're off an 8-1 shellacking, you want to play better the next game. It's really that simple. You want to play better. You want to get off to a better start in this game. And I think you're going to see New Jersey really have a much better concerted effort. So when I look at this game, I'm gonna sprinkle on the money line. First period and full game, New Jersey. I really think this is a New Jersey Devils team that coming off that 8-1 debacle. You look at Florida. This kind of looks like a go through the motions kind of 2-game road trip here this weekend, a back-to-back against New Jersey and Buffalo, 2 teams that aren't going to be making the playoffs. I worry a little bit just about this team being laser focused. When you're talking about now this late in the regular season, you're down to the final month. There's only about a dozen games left for all of these teams. You're looking forward to the playoffs. So there's going to be some games that you just aren't, at that level that you need to be, that highest level. And I get the sense maybe today you don't get Florida at their absolute best here. Whereas for New Jersey, you're coming off getting absolutely embarrassed by Boston 8-1 Thursday night. Nothing went well. I would expect them to be certainly very much urgent to play well in this game tonight. By the way, Miles Wood, Pavel Zacha out for the New Jersey Devils today. Of course, for the Panthers, Aaron Ekblad's not coming back this year. Patrick Hornquist still out for them long-term as well. And Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar, confirmed in net this afternoon for the New Jersey Devils. So, look, say what you will about this guy. He's making his Devils debut. And, let's remember, he appeared in 4 games with the Montreal Canadiens before being traded to the Devils at the deadline. He went 3-0. He had a 2.4 goals against average and .920 save percentage. Something about this guy, Vito, Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar, he plays well, better than people expect, and the team rallies around the guy. They love his story. He's been fighting his way to the NHL his entire life, and now he's back again. Maybe the Devils rally around that. So I think we might have a live home underdog here in this game. Vito, what do you think? Florida, New Jersey.
Yeah, well, the way you say it, Ian, obviously, yeah, for the New Jersey, and I agree, everything sets up pretty nice in this game. They're like of an embarrassing loss on the road. Now they're gonna play at home. They're gonna have hamburger Hammond for the first time in New Jersey, Jersey coming out for the game. So yeah, they must be hyped up a little bit here. So, but that's why I also think we're getting pretty nice number with Florida. I mean, in the regulation, even if you like Florida, it's like -110, so that's a great price. Yeah, but at the moment for me, I have not any bets on this game. But if you just watch a little bit the expected goals from Florida Panthers side, the games against the Canadiens and Sharks, they 5-on-5, they put more than three expected goals per game. So that's a lot, and I think here, if Devils can limit the turnovers, if they really come out focused today and they don't turn puck over so much, obviously they have a chance. But if you start to turn the puck over against Panthers, that team will make you pay for your mistakes, And even Hamburg, if you believe, Hamburg maybe make some unbelievable saves, So I think this game actually could be a great live betting game, since it's even a brunch game. Might start off maybe slow a little bit. So yeah, I think this could be a very good to play live. Wait a little bit, 5 to 10 minutes, see how the game goes. Grab that 5.5, 6 maybe, whatever what you like, and yeah, go from there. I think.
Yeah, and hamburger helper, and that's what Andrew Hammond is going to hope to be for the New Jersey New Jersey Devils here. Hamburger helper. Look, I'm interested in the over as well, but anytime now that I see a 7 with a total, I'm going to wait to in game see if I can get 6.5. Hell, maybe I can get maybe a whole first period without a goal, get a 5.5 later in the game. So it's going to be a live bet for me on the over in this game. I'm going to wait to see if I can get a better number with that.
I would also agree with that. That playoffs are very close, and it's hard, to bet on this now on the favorites, because you never know, they will not win all the games now. They will not be as focused as they were before. So you have to be careful here. Yes.
Yeah, it's very much a minefield, the NHL the last few weeks, because you're not going to get the A game from the -210 favorite every single time. That is definitely true. So you want to be aware of that. Yeah, the Devils team total over. I like that a little bit too, which is -145. New Jersey Devils here, team total over. I think that's probably worth a look as well.
Panthers is not a defense team, So Devils team total definitely is a look after a 1-8 loss. You will see, I think, very very hyped up first period. I think we're gonna even maybe it's gonna be a while actually to jump on the over 1.5 in the first period if there's no early goals, because I think guys, Devils at home, if they are hyped up at home plus of a loss, they should be very hyped up. And Panthers overall is just a great first period team. But I think today we can see even the Devils be better than Panthers in first period, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I think that could happen too, because I do have them first period here, +150, and also a little with the +180 here with the Devils in the full game money line as well. All right, next game, it is the ABC national TV matchup on this Saturday afternoon. Pittsburgh Penguins, Colorado Avalanche. Colorado -150, home favorites, 6 the total. Some games, you don't really have a strong betting opinion on it. You just say it's a great game, and this is a great game. I'm going to sit back, watch, and enjoy it. And that's, for me, that's this game. I don't really have a strong opinion, side or total. I think it's in the right spot. I think you could actually argue -150 with Colorado is cheap, at home, considering how good they are there. But am I rushing to bet against Pittsburgh as an underdog? Not really. And they're playing pretty good hockey. They had a nice win against Minnesota on the road on Thursday night. Evgeny Malkin getting the overtime winner. It's just a really good hockey game between these two teams. We'll see who comes out on top. But, Colorado, definitely not easy to beat them at home. a rare national TV spot type for them. I certainly like the way they've played lately. Pittsburgh's actually been a little bit more erratic the last couple of games. They've got the best friends forever, Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby from Nova Scotia, going head to head here in this game. They're in all those Tim Horton commercials together all the last couple of years, and now here they get to face off against one another here this afternoon in this game. But when you look at the last 10 games, Pittsburgh, they're actually only 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they've lost to the Rangers twice. They lost to Buffalo, and they lost to Nashville during this run. But they've also had some pretty good wins. They beat Carolina, they beat St. Louis, they beat obviously a good Minnesota team in their last game. Colorado 7-3 in their last 10 games. They beat Calgary and San Jose in each of the last two. This should be a great matchup. There's no question. But when you look at Colorado here, Nathan McKinnon, obviously, catching a break, that injury that he hurt his hand in that fight with Matt Dumba. That's what kept him out of the one game. But he ended up coming back the very next game after that. So that was very good to see. And unfortunately for the Penguins, Jason Zucker, who returned to the lineup Thursday night against Minnesota, had to leave that game with another injury. So this could be a situation again where he's out for a long period of time for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just really unfortunate. That guy has had a lot of bad luck staying healthy and avoiding those injuries. So you hope for the best, at least for him, and that he's able to play here in this game today, maybe, and possibly moving forward. But it looks like for him, the good news is it's day to day. As far as the Avalanche are concerned, Nazem Kadri right now listed currently as questionable for this game. He missed practice yesterday. We'll see if he ends up playing. His status is in doubt right now, though, for today's game. Sam Girard is someone that actually might return here for the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, we have not seen him in action since March the 8th, almost a month ago, since we last saw him on the ice. But looks like Samuel Girard might get the green light to be back in the lineup here this afternoon for the Colorado Avalanche as well. So, when I look at the game, it's a great hockey game. You've got two teams that are certainly going to be forces in the playoffs. Could this be the Stanley Cup final? I don't know. Pittsburgh, I think, has got a lot of work to do to get to a Stanley Cup final. Colorado, not so much. Pittsburgh's got to try to get through Florida and Tampa Bay and, an Eastern Conference that's got a lot of really good teams, whereas Colorado probably has a clearer path toward a Stanley Cup final. But never say never. We know Pittsburgh's got more depth now that they picked up Rickard Rakell, which, by the way, this is probably more of a prop game for me rather than betting the side or total. I think Rakell to score a goal or collect a point is probably something to consider here. He's starting to fit in nicely with this Pittsburgh Penguins team. He was a great addition by Ron Hextall and Brian Burke at the trade deadline, getting Rickard Rakell from the Anaheim Ducks. Because the one thing that this team maybe needed was another, top six forward. A lot was on the shoulders of Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Rust. Now you get a Rakell on the second line right now as well. And all of a sudden, you've got a pretty dynamic top six forward group if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins. And look, he scored 2 goals in the win against Minnesota on Thursday night. He now has 5 points in the last 3 games. So this to me looks like Rakell to score a goal, Rakell to score a point. Definitely decent player props to look at least as far as the Pittsburgh Penguins are concerned in this game. This does feel like this game could be low scoring because these teams are capable defensively. Jari can be very good in net for the most part. So can Darcy Kemper. And it could be that kind of playoff feel to it. So, I do think if I had to lean one way or the other with the total, it could be to the under. But like I said, I'm not going to be betting the side or the total pregame, but I probably will get in on some Rickard Rakell props for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I definitely like the way he's played here these last 3 games. Vito, what do you think? It's one of the best games here today, Pittsburgh, Colorado.
Yeah, well, just checking this game, I would prefer like the team. If we watch the schedule a little bit, first of all, these both teams will also play on Tuesday back in the Pittsburgh. So many today it's very deciding what you're gonna see on Tuesday. As we all know, it's gonna be a revenge game, and so on. But yeah, today, if we just a little bit watch which teams has played Colorado, let me open. They had some mentally tough games, I think, like against Flames and against the Wild. So where they definitely played their best hockey. And then they played against the Sharks, which is not so good team. And I don't know if it's that easy now to switch back straight away to Pens. This in-game between the Sharks might be a little bit like let down spot for us maybe, and they can maybe come out a little bit not as fast today. That's just my opinion about this little bit. And if we watch from Pens also, they haven't been so great as well offensively. I mean, yeah, against the Red Wings, they scored those 11 goals. They still put up like only 2 expected goals, 5-on-5. Then against the Rangers, they a little bit win there, but still lose a game. And against the Wild, I mean, they were outplayed by Wild a little bit, but they end up winning game. So yeah, man. And then we come towards the end of the season. Playoffs are here, and I think for the games like these, the teams really want to give it all, because they mentally also want to be ready for the playoffs. So they want to play good here today. So let's see how the line moves. I mean, the starting goalies, I don't think they are both, they're not confirmed, but expected it's going to be Jerry, I think, for Pence. And well, I think Darcy Kemper. Well, I'm not sure who for that who, but I think, well, for Jerry, for sure for Pence. So yeah, as you said, it's going to be an interesting game. So you're not saying like Avs are winning. So I think Pens have a chance here maybe to win because like the Avs have played the Sharks team. I don't like this in between game between with Sharks. I think they somehow might not be ready for the Pens today. So I think Pens might keep it close. I don't have any bets here. I also I just think I'm gonna watch this game, but yeah, I'm leaning kind of a little bit Pens, I think.
All right, leaning a little bit. Hey, anytime you see plus 130 beside Pittsburgh, you're tempted. That's a pretty good hockey team. They're capable of winning on the road, against good teams and tough environments. But yeah, I mean, definitely, it's always tempting when you see an underdog price next to Pittsburgh. But at the same time, you could also counter that and say, how often do you get Colorado as low as minus 145 or minus 150 at home? So you could go both ways with that. But yeah, it is a very good hockey game this afternoon. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out for sure.
Yeah, well, the thing is, but Pittsburgh is very capable team. That's the only thing. But yeah, if Avalanche then in regulation, I think you can even get a plus price, like plus 105 or something. That's a great look, I would say, if you like Avalanche.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's definitely a great game for the national TV audience in the United States, ABC, this afternoon. That they they get they get this matchup here with the uh, Penguins and the Avalanche. It is definitely a really good hockey game for a national TV type of scenario like this. All right, we go to LA and Winnipeg now. Next up, the rest of the games are all taking place tonight. We've got Winnipeg rather, minus 135 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. The Winnipeg Jets, I guess you could say that they are still, they're still very much in the hunt, not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but they they need to go on this crazy. Like, how many games do they have left? They have, looks like they've got 13 games left. They've played 69, so they've got 13 left. They probably have to win 9 of those, 10 of those to really have a shot to be a playoff team, because they're 4 points behind Vegas for the second wild card spot right now. You have to think that they are going to have to win 9 or 10 of their remaining games to give themselves a realistic chance, of being in the playoffs. And I just don't think that they're capable of that kind of run, because we just haven't seen it all year from Winnipeg. It's just there's too many stops and starts, not enough consistency in their game, not enough goaltending from Connor Hellebuck, who's had a bit of a down year. And now you've got Kyle Connor out for the Winnipeg Jets as well in COVID-19 protocol. That doesn't help. They're coming off a 7-3 loss to Toronto in their last game. And now they're returning back home off a mini 2-game road trip. LA, meanwhile, they have had a nice little start to this road trip. They nearly beat Edmonton, lost in a shootout. They beat Calgary 3-2 in a shootout the next game. I like the way they're playing, the LA Kings right now. I could only look at LA at a plus price here in this game. If I'm betting it and if I'm getting involved, the only way I'm betting it is Los Angeles here, plus 115. Vito, what do you think here? LA, Winnipeg.
Yeah, I mean, it's also another great game, I would say, because LA, if you just look at their expected goal numbers, they put a lot of scoring chances, and those games usually end up like even sometimes low scoring, but there's a lot of chances, So, and same for the Winnipeg. I mean, offensively, they can do something, but for the Winnipeg, the big problem is they don't have a puck moving defenseman. Basically, they try to do it with Morrissey or someone, but in the end of the day, they don't have any puck moving defenseman who can really start the offense for you. When the forwards get open, to really give that first snipe pass, on the stick, so you can start the offense. There's no that kind of demon, so it's hard to bet Winnipeg because they cannot start the offense. That's why they struggle. They cannot enter the zone, And Kings is the very great team which clogs you up on the neutral zone, So if Jets will be not able to move the puck today, the Kings will not let them in the zone. Basically, they will not cross the blue line today. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game. That's what I can tell you guys. Well, definitely yes. With this price, I'm also leaning Kings here. It's hard to trust Jets now. Kings also is playing great hockey here. So yeah, for me, it would be also Kings here, dude.
All right, Vito and I both liking the LA Kings here at a dog price. You can get plus 110, plus 115 right now with the LA Kings. Like I said, pretty solid price there. I'm just not liking Winnipeg's lack of consistency. It continues to be a big problem for them. It's been a big problem all year, and it's probably going to be what ends up keeping them out of the playoffs and ensuring that they fall short of making it into the postseason. All right, Montreal, Tampa Bay. We've got Tampa Bay minus 330, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. When you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm telling you, this is a tricky spot. They play Toronto on Monday night after this game. So when you look at it, this could be a little bit of a sleepwalk type of game for Tampa. Brian Elliott confirmed in net, but like I said, Brian Elliott's actually played pretty well. I mean, you look at the way he's played in recent starts for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He gave up just one goal March 26 against Detroit, gave up just 3 goals on 48 shots faced against Edmonton, 1 goal allowed against Detroit before that, 1 goal allowed against San. Like, he hasn't played that bad. He's had a nice season, actually, in a backup role for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's going to be in net tonight. Jake Allen will get the start for Montreal. Montreal, of course, continuing their road trip, which is always a tough one when you're talking about having to play Florida, or Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay, which is what Montreal's doing right now. They lost 7-4 to Florida. They lost 4-0 to Carolina, and now they got to play Tampa Bay tonight. But, I think this is one of those spots where if you're Tampa, there's not really a ton of urgency. You've won 4 in a row going into this game against the Montreal Canadiens. You've got a big one in the division coming up with Toronto. That is a team you are battling with for second in the division, which is going to end up determining who gets home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind as well. Definitely a situation for me where you've got this Montreal team maybe able to sneak up on Tampa here and keep this one closer. So there's a lot of things I'm going back and forth with in this game. Maybe, I don't know if I can pull the trigger on Montreal plus 260 or but a first period money line, perhaps maybe plus 1.5 for Montreal potentially on the puck line here, just because of the fact that this is definitely, and look, Tampa Bay also back to back. They were playing Chicago last night. Now, no travel, obviously, in this back to back. Both games were home games, but Montreal does have a rest advantage. It's a bigger opponent and a bigger game coming up on Monday for Tampa Bay facing Toronto. All I'm saying is this is not exactly a spot I'm looking to lay the lumber with Tampa or go to Tampa Bay type of bets here. in this game. I think Montreal in the first period, at least. You could even go plus a half goal if you want to be a little bit safer, more cautious. But I think Montreal maybe first period in this game at plus 200 or so. Not a bad look. You could sprinkle on the money line if you want, but especially what I'm looking at just to be a little safer is maybe a plus 1.5 on Montreal, which you can actually get at even money. You can get it plus 110 on the Montreal Canadiens puck line, plus 1.5 goals at DraftKings. Our great partners here at the Ice Guys and the Hockey Podcast Network. So, I'm just saying it's a spot. This is when you really have to pay attention to spots and who you're playing in one game and who you might be playing in the next game. I mean, you really are talking about this stuff does matter at this time of year. It really does, because we see it happen often. Like we've even seen San Jose earlier this week. Like they had Colorado on the ropes at home. I mean, that game was tied in the third period. Colorado was very fortunate to escape with the victory. So, to be honest, I think you've got Montreal with a puncher's chance here in this game, at least to being competitive. And of course, remember, they're not facing Andrei Vasilevsky tonight. They're facing Brian Elliott. So, and a rest advantage as well, with Tampa having played last night against Chicago. So, I think Montreal and a bunch of different fashion varieties, I guess you could say, would be the bets that I'm looking at here in this game with the Canadiens and Lightning. More than anything, first period money line and the full game puck line, plus 1.5, which is plus 110. What do you think here, Vito? Montreal, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, let's start with Brian Elliott. I think, as you said, he hasn't been bad, but the goals he's letting in, they're kind of bad. I mean, those are the goals he has to stop, So sometimes he makes me worry when I see him in the net. So yeah, that's the one thing. Another thing, as you said, just look. I will look at the Canadiens a little bit here. They played against the Panthers and against the Hurricanes, right? Both games they played terrible. I mean, 4.5 expected goals given up against Panthers, 5-5, and okay, that's Panthers, and then against the Canes, more than 3. So this is the game where they would like to come out and play better than the last 2 games, and they're catching this Tampa Bay team on a back-to-back. So I think they will not think that Montreal is capable of anything, and I think this is one of the situations where you can see Montreal being a little bit more in the game in the start as well. That's why, I understand where you're going, Ian. But for me, it's still hard to bet anything with Montreal at the moment. Not sure what to expect from them, but at the moment, staying away from this game, having any bets here. Just don't like to play the Tampa against the Tampa. I know they're in a back-to-back, but it's still a home back-to-back. But Toronto is the important game for them next one. So you're just not sure what kind of Tampa team you will get today. So I don't think it's worth the wager.
There you go. Not worth the wager. That's true. And we'll definitely see if the Montreal Canadiens can take advantage of this situation, because, like I say, they got Tampa Bay playing last night. That's significant. Whereas they're rested. And again, Tampa's got a huge game coming up with the Leafs Monday night. We'll see if they can take advantage of that situation here coming up for this Canadiens team against Tampa Bay. All right, next up we've got
Devils have scored. A great start from Devils. Early start, as we talked.
There you go. Like I said, no team wants to be embarrassed 8-1. Nobody. Toronto and Philadelphia. We've got Toronto minus 280, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Jack Campbell at long last returning for the Toronto Maple Leafs and back in net for the Toronto Maple Leafs here. He's been out for a while. We'll see how he plays. It's been a long time since we've seen him in a game. This can always go either one of 2 ways. Either it can be something that's absolutely terrific for a team, or it go well for him, and he's laser sharp and he's right on his game. But right now, we'll have to wait and see on that. But at the same time, he could also, be a guy that hasn't played in a while and maybe looks a little off his game, maybe a little rusty. Maybe it's going to take him a period or 2 periods, or maybe even a 1 game under his belt to really feel comfortable again. Who knows? But the bottom line is the Leafs will go as far as they go in the playoffs based on Jack Campbell in net. Jack Campbell is their guy. Forget Mrazek, forget it, because he's out for 6 weeks anyway. Forget Shalgren, forget anybody else. It's Jack Campbell's net for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're going to have the success or lack of success based on his play. That's as simple as that. So definitely, when I look at this game here tonight, the fact they're getting he is their number one guy back. I think it'll pump up the Leafs a little bit here against Philadelphia. They're also close to getting Jake Muzzin back in the lineup, and I believe he's may not be back tonight, but he's definitely close to returning for Toronto. But Campbell will be in net for the Leafs. For the Flyers, Carter Hart confirmed in net. Vito, I'll say this about Toronto. Since they made those additions at the deadline, especially the trades with Seattle for Mark Giordano and Colin Blackwell, this Toronto team, they've really trended in a good way in terms of expected goals and carrying the play. I mean, they've outshot the opponent, I believe, now in 5 of the last 6 games. Or 6 of the last 7, they've outshot their opponent. 5 of the last 6, they've outshot their opponent. Like, they're actually carrying the play more now than they did maybe earlier in the season. So, give the Leafs credit. This has been a nice little stretch of hockey for them that they have played. They have gone 4-1 in their last 5 games, and even the only loss was the Montreal game, and they should have won that game because they outshot the Canadiens 51-17. They absolutely should have won that game against Montreal, but Jake Allen was just terrific in net that night. They have been carrying the play to the opponent, so they played some very good hockey as of late. I think it continues here. You look at Philadelphia; they've gone over over the total for their last 5 games. The one thing they have been doing on home ice is scoring some goals, though. So, they have been able to really score more offensively at home. I think that could continue here. Toronto has definitely been lighting the lamp lately. I'm just not sold on Jack Campbell being great here in his first start in a very long time. So I'm going to look more toward the over in this game, 6.5. And actually, I leaned to the over in the last game we talked about too with the Montreal Tampa game. But this one, I like the over here, 6.5 Leafs and Flyers. I think for the Flyers too, they've really been trending toward the over in their recent games on home ice as well. And let me just see if I can find the stat on that, because I'm pretty sure at home they've really been trending over the total of late. Yes, they have been for sure. So, definitely I'm looking toward some goals being scored in this game tonight with the Leafs and Flyers, over 6.5 for me with Toronto and Philly. I have no interest in Philly. I think Toronto's playing some really sound, really strong, sturdy hockey right now. And I think certainly with Campbell back in net, they're going to be pretty fired up to try to get him a W in his return for the Maple Leafs. What do you think here, Vito, Toronto and Philly?
Yeah, well, Toronto got 2 big games next week, Monday and Tuesday. They play a back-to-back against Tampa, as we mentioned before. And the next day they play Panthers. So those are 2 big games here. But yeah, we have a Jack Campbell's return here for Toronto. If you look at the expected goals, I mean, Toronto, they've been getting that lead. They can hold on to lead now. That's something we haven't seen from this team, like they don't usually do that. But they've been a little bit better, 5.5, 5, which is, I think, great. They are almost like scoring. They expected goal numbers are almost like 2 per game, and 5.5, and they're allowing less chances. So yeah, that's what you want to see, like low numbers. It's winning those games. So but again, we talk about playoffs being just here around the corner, and this is a road game. You never know what you can expect in the road game, and this is Jack Campbell returns. Also, you can know how he plays. I don't know. Can he be sharp straight away? I know we're gonna see that here tonight. So I think have to wait here in this game maybe to play live. I think it definitely goes over because Flyers been turning puck, to be honest, over a lot. So they've been giving out a lot of chances, and Toronto, they have the forwards which will score on those turnovers. So if Flyers wants to somehow keep this close, they will need to keep this a low scoring game. But I don't think that's possible. I can't see Flyers winning like 2-1 or something like that, because Toronto will score. So because Flyers will do the turnovers, I guess, as soon as Toronto will score those 2-3 goals, will start the turnovers, and we're going to see that over. So I think always a look in this game, but you might maybe wait and actually grab this live. If you don't see it goes like in maybe first 5 minutes, get that number at 6 at least, and then go with it.
Yep, definitely. So I agree. I think we'll see some goals scored with this game here between the Flyers and the Leafs. And like like I said with Toronto, I mean they've got it humming right now. Matthews gets to 50 goals in the last game. Look at these numbers for Toronto. Just the last 3 games: 5 spot against Florida, 6 against Boston, 7 against Winnipeg. No, they are just absolutely a offensive freight train, an offensive express right now, and that's probably going to be an express that might run over the Flyers tonight. And by the way, what a horrible job by Mike Yeo here, denying Keith Yandle a chance to keep his consecutive game streak alive. 989, he needs 11 more to get to 1,000 consecutive games played, and wouldn't allow it. Says, you know what, he's going to be a healthy scratch tonight because of the fact that we need to evaluate our young talent and look toward next season. You're not going to be there next year, moron. I mean, what the hell's the point of you doing that? I mean, my goodness. You really think you're going to be there next year with what this team's done with you as the interim coach here since you've taken over? I mean, my goodness. It's just been absolutely an awful run. So I'm very, very disappointed. I know Alex B. Smith's been outspoken. He doesn't like Mike Yeo to begin with, but he's right. Kind of shocking and pretty shameful that they've done this to Keith Yandle. But I get the business aspect. You want to get the young kids, the prospects from the AHL, get them called up into the lineup, get the college signees, get them some ice time late in the season. But boy, it's really one of those things that just it's frustrating. It's aggravating. Yeah. And Fletcher too. I mean, Chuck Fletcher. It's kind of, it's just, he's 11 games away from getting a milestone number, and they're going to deny him that. I think it's just really unfortunate. And look, Keith Yandle handled it with grace and with class. Credit to him. Definitely outstanding. Definitely not an outstanding call, in my opinion, to do that by the Flyers. But it is what it is. All right, next up, we've got Columbus and Boston. Boston minus 360. Home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. You talk about the Bruins bouncing back. Boy, did they ever against New Jersey, 8-1 after a really bad game against Toronto, where Bruce Cassidy was very critical of his team. Well, they definitely responded the right way after that. It was a very good performance by the Bruins, bouncing back, getting the victory against New Jersey, 8-1. We'll see if they keep that up here against Columbus. They should. Columbus has lost 5 in a row. They were playing pretty decent for a while, but the roof has caved in on them. Defensively, they're not good at all. They've given up 5 to Pittsburgh, 4 to Winnipeg, 3 to Minnesota, 4 to the Islanders, 5 to the Islanders during this 5-game losing streak. They continue to struggle to keep the puck out of their own net. Meanwhile, Boston, they are scoring goals in bunches right now as well. You look at the last 6 games for them, they've scored 4, 3, 3, 6, 4, and 8. So this Bruins team is definitely lighting it up right now at the moment, and should be able to light it up here against Columbus, even with Merzlikins in net, who, he's struggled, but a lot of it's been just terrible play around him. He gave up 4 goals on 35 shots in the loss to the Islanders the other night for the second straight time. He gave up 4 goals to the Islanders. So, he's having a tough time, but a lot of it is the defense in front of him is just not making life very, very easy for Elvis right now. He's given up a grand total of 15 goals in the last 4 starts, which definitely isn't good. So, for me, what I would probably look at here is Boston team total. But the problem is you're not getting the 3.5s anymore like you used to earlier this year. You're getting 4.5 now with it. So you're not getting really that value that you were earlier right now in this one. But Boston certainly should take care of business here. I'm not going to lay the price, though, with Boston in this game. I'm going to look toward, if anything here, maybe the over 6.5. It's actually gone up to 6.5. It opened 6, gone up to 6.5 now here in this game. I would expect certainly the Boston Bruins to at least get 4 or 5 goals themselves in this game. But can Columbus chip in a couple? I think they could. I think definitely they're capable of doing that. That is their strength. Columbus, if they have one, it's their ability to score. It's the likes of Patrick Laine, Bjorkstrand, and company to contribute and find the back of the net. So I think the closest thing I would bet to in this game would be probably over 6.5. Like I say, the Boston team total interests me, but 4.5, not so much. What do you think here, Vito? Jackets and Bruins.
Yeah, well, you see, it's after a 8-1 win. It's sometimes hard to bet on teams. Well, but Bruins been playing very great, especially at home. They've been putting up some great numbers. That I'm checking right now, actually. So scoring 4 goals, 6 goals. Okay, 2 goals against Tampa. Then there. Okay, but anyways, even the loss there against the Leafs, they managed to score 4 goals. So they've been fine scoring. I mean, now Hall, Pasternak, finally they're scoring a lot. Bergeron, Marchand as well. So it's hard to definitely go against this Boston team. And if we watch from Columbus side, I mean, they now just played against the Islanders, right? So against home, they lost this game against Islanders, but they were a little bit better in that game. If not a little bit, maybe much better. But the Islanders found a way to win. And then they go to New York and they just have a terrible game there and lose to Islanders, So, yeah, looks like everything has turned for Columbus now in the end of the year on the wrong side. And I mean, last meeting between these two clubs took place actually 1 month ago in Columbus. And there the game ended 4-4. I remember that game. And Boston was a much better team there as well. So, yeah, it's hard to it's hard to look here at the Jackets. I think definitely I think Boston is winning this game. Just to be honest, the bookmakers has made it a little bit impossible to play. Puck line is juiced. Over is at 4.5. I think Boston is very capable of winning this 4-1. Maybe so. No wages, I think, for me in this game is just made bookmakers has made it very, very unplayable here. I think even Jackets is not that terrible team, as the bookmakers I think are setting here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just, minus 425. I mean, what do you do with that? What you do with it is you pass. I mean, to me, there's just absolutely no value with Boston at that price. And welcome to betting NHL last month of the season. It's tough to extricate and extract value, when you're betting a favorite this time of year.
If you look just from the situational point and from the mindset of the teams, we have one team coming in off of 8-1 win, and then we have another team coming in of 5 from a 5-game losing streak. So somehow, it's hard to play Boston just here, I think, because of just like Columbus is on a 5-game losing streak. They want to win, and Boston has won like 8-1 last game. Yeah. We saw what happened with Pittsburgh against the Rangers. Okay, Rangers is better than Columbus, but still.
Yeah, definitely. That's a valid point there for sure. All right, Minnesota and Carolina. One of the better games tonight for sure. Carolina minus 150, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. You've got Minnesota after a back and forth game with Pittsburgh on Thursday night. Pittsburgh got the overtime victory on the road in Minnesota, 4-3. We'll see if the Wild can get back on track here. It will not be easy here against Carolina, who have one of many teams that has a terrific home record this year, and a Carolina team that already has played Minnesota once this year. Minnesota beat Carolina 3-2 back on February 12th in Minnesota when these teams met earlier this year. That game stayed under the total, but that's the only game in the recent head-to-head series history that's stayed under the total. It's gone 7-1 to the over in the last 8 meetings between the Wild and the Hurricanes. I definitely like Carolina a little bit here. Is the price great? No, but I'm going to lay it here, minus 150 with Carolina. Keep in mind, Matt Boldy is going to be out here for Minnesota, and potentially, I'm pretty sure he's out. Yes, it looks like he's probably going to be out. He left the game Thursday night with that upper body injury, and he's probably going to miss this game for the Minnesota Wild. And look, he's been great. 27 points in 35 games this season with the Minnesota Wild. The first-year player has just been, really good for the Minnesota Wild. So this is a impact absence for the Wild if he doesn't play tonight, and it looks like he's trending toward not playing. And when you look at Minnesota, they won 7 straight games, and they had their 7-game win streak snapped, losing to Pittsburgh. And sometimes when you have that long win streak snapped, sometimes it's like a bubble burst effect, and you don't necessarily always right away get back on track. And look, getting back on track on the road against Carolina is probably a difficult proposition anyway. And Carolina, of course, bouncing back from a tough overtime loss to Tampa Bay 4-3, and they shut out Montreal 4-0 in their last game. So when I look at this here, I like Carolina a little bit here, minus 150 in this game. And I lean over the total of 6 simply because of that series history. I don't love the over in this game, but I will have a smaller stake on that. But I do like Carolina here, minus 150 in this game. They've certainly have been good on home ice. And I think the fact they lost earlier this year to the Wild, they'll look for a little bit of redemption here in this game. And the one thing I will say about Minnesota's win streak, which just got snapped with the loss to Pittsburgh, Chicago, Vegas, when they were riddled with injuries, Vancouver, Columbus, Philadelphia, they did beat Colorado, but they were badly outplayed in that game. Other than that Colorado win, there wasn't a whole ton of phenomenal wins against terrific opposition. Boston was actually a decent win too. A couple in there that were good, but a lot of it too were against weaker foes or teams that were really depleted at the time that Minnesota played them. So I think it's going to be a tall order here for the Wild tonight. So looking toward Carolina here at minus 150. Vito, what do you think here? Wild Hurricanes.
Well, yeah, if we watch from the numbers, I think this is one of my favorite games today. I mean, here we can get actually some decent value, obviously. And I also have many angles on this game from both sides. If we just look a little bit, maybe from Carolina, for them, it's a 4th game this week. But, Carolina were struggling a little bit before, like a month ago, maybe even a little bit less, they were struggling. We were betting on them. They were losing some games. So now we can see Carolina somehow finding that scoring again, So that's what we all expected, because the expected goal numbers were showing that they are playing some decent hockey. So now, yeah, Carolina has started to play better. And just if we watch a little bit from Wild side, first of all, as you mentioned, this loss of a big winning streak is one thing. But for me, I think the other big thing is here, after a long home stand, once you go on the road, the first game on the road is never easy, If you had that long home stand, not sure how many games was that, definitely more than 5, right? Or 6 even. So now first game on the road, straight away against the Canes. It's going to be a hard game here. That's why they're putting Fleury, I think. They believe he can steal this one, So it's all about the Fleury thing, I think, here. Also, Wild play Capitals tomorrow, so that's going to be Talbot there. So, yeah, and again, yeah, so Wild first game on the road, and last meeting, Wild won against the Canes. So I'm going to play Canes here in the regulation, guys, which is a plus 100 I think, price. So that's my bet here.
All right, there we go. We've got liking Carolina in regulation. Again, you can get that close to even money with the Hurricanes there in regulation here in this one. A great matchup. Fleury. Yeah, I have a feeling Fleury is going to be pretty busy tonight. We'll see if he can rise to the excuse me. See if he can rise to the occasion here for the Minnesota Wild. We know he's capable of doing that, but yeah, I think he's going to face a lot of rubber tonight against the Hurricanes. And look, we'll see if he can make do with it here tonight. All right, St. Louis, Calgary. Next up, we've got St. Calgary here, minus 250, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. So it was supposed to be Ville Husso starting this game all along for St. Louis, but he had to come into the game last night against Edmonton because Jordan Binnington was not sharp early on. Edmonton got a 4-1 lead. Craig Berube decided we're going to take Binnington out, put Husso in. And it worked because St. Louis came back. They got a point out of the game. It went to overtime. Edmonton did win 6-5, but they ended up getting a point out of that game. So the goaltending change worked. It, woke up the Blues a little bit last night. And the question was, well, now that you've played Husso most of the game last night, are you still going to start him tonight against the Calgary Flames? The answer is yes. It is still going to be Ville Husso tonight for the St. Louis Blues. But it is back-to-back for them. It's the end of this little Western Canadian road trip. They played in Vancouver. Then they went to Edmonton last night. Now they're on back-to-back here in Calgary. So a little bit of a tricky spot. Calgary rested. They've certainly been waiting for St. Louis, and they've not been a very happy team, Vito. These last couple days, they've been very agitated that they've lost 2 in a row here against Colorado and LA. They lost in a shootout to the Kings a couple nights ago. There was a little altercation in practice yesterday with Eric Goodbranson and Blake Coleman. They got into a little bit of almost a fight during practice yesterday. So, Calgary's, a little hot under the collar right now. They've lost a couple of games here. So I think what that all boils down to is the fact that the Flames are probably going to be chomping at the bit tonight. You're probably going to get a pretty strong concerted effort from them. They might be able to pounce on the Blues early. We certainly didn't see the Blues have a good start last night, and I'm wondering if they're going to have a bad start here again tonight. I think they could. I think that's the only way to play it, because I also think that St. Louis being plus 210 in this game that's way too much of a price to be giving the Blues here. But at the same time, I do think Calgary jumps on them early. So the way I'm going to play it is probably Calgary first period, which is plus 120 puck line. So that's Calgary minus a half goal, plus 120 in the first period, because I do think they'll have to lead after the first 20 minutes. This is definitely an angry Calgary team. They're not amused losing the last 2 games. I think they do come out strong, jump on this Blues team that played an emotional game last night against the Oilers that went to overtime. And think about all the energy they had to expend to get that game to overtime after being down 4-1. So they could be a little hungover from that, lethargic from that early in the game. So that's, to me, the best approach here in this game. It's Calgary early, and that's Calgary Flames first period puck line, minus a half, plus 120. That's what I like here in this game. But I wouldn't touch the full game with Calgary, because minus 250, I get Calgary's been great, and especially at home. But this is the price of, this feels like Calgary is playing Arizona with this kind of a price that you're giving St. Louis. St. Louis is a good hockey team, solid hockey team. So to me, that's not the value. To me, it's better to just look toward that first period, because I think that's where the advantage really lies. And hell, you know what? Maybe I bet St. Louis in game at some point if that first period on Calgary cashes in. But definitely, I like Calgary early, minus a half, plus 120 first period puck line. What do you think, Vito? St. Louis, Calgary?
Well, and I can tell you, actually, I think it's pretty straight away why the line is like this. Because if you remember the last time when Blues were in Calgary, they were in the same exact the situation. They were on the road.
Destroyed. Yep.
They were in the last game on the road trip, and they lost like 1-7. I think that was a terrible game. Yep. Like the defensemen were skating on their stomachs. Binnington was somewhere else. It was just like trash, And then they came home and they got outplayed by Flames as well in that game, but they managed to win 5-1. Because in that game, you can straight away see what style of hockey this Blues team is playing. They have good finishers, so they can score on odd man rushes. They can score on 3-on-2s. They can score on these type of situations because they're very good with the puck. They can pass very great. They stick to the tape-to-tape passes, and they can finish. But if you talk about carrying the play and having the zone time and moving the puck in the zone, Blues don't have that. They simply cannot cycle the puck for a long time. They're getting outplayed by most of the teams in NHL at this point. So it's definitely hard to play Blues, but this number is just terrible. It feels like Flames are playing really Sabres or Arizona. Well, Sabres been even better now, but yeah, still the number is just crazy. But yeah, I just gave all the reasons now why the line is there. So, and I think Blues are just not capable. Well, they should play better today, but the Blues' best at the moment has been very, very bad. Not good at all. I mean, so yeah, that's they've been like alive a little bit in offense now. They've been putting us some expected goals, but again, then in defense, if you look yesterday's turnovers, I think today the coach definitely will then tell them you must limit the turnovers if you want to win. Because yesterday they turned puck over like 3 or 4 like million times in the first period, and they got paid for it. I mean, you saw Evander Kane goal. That was just also a funny one. So yeah, they have to limit the turnovers here today if they want to have any success here. But since it's a back to back on the road, third game, fourth this week, terrible spot. It's hard to play. It's hard just to play this game. So I'm staying away.
Yeah, it definitely nothing wrong with that. By the way, someone in the chat saying Blues are 0-4 covering the puck line on the second night of a back-to-back. So maybe in that case, then if you like that stat, maybe Calgary minus a half plus 100 becomes a consideration for you. Flames puck line tonight in this game, but I really like them in that first period, especially because I know in the first 20 minutes I'm going to get them ready because you got teammates almost fighting each other in practice yesterday. Don't read too much into that. It's not the team falling apart or anything. It's just, hey, you've lost a couple games in a row. Players are upset. And sometimes you take it out on your teammate, and now you're going to use that anger, use that aggression, come out on the ice tonight against St. Louis and show it early on. And I think you'll see that from Calgary.
Well, I had in practices fighting when I was playing, especially when I was used to European hockey. I was playing here in Latvia or Sweden. I was playing most of the time. And when I went to USA, I went to this top team, and I saw a fight on the ice during the practice, and it was not like rejected. Fight was going on, and the coach was not enjoying it, but he was not against it. I mean, fight was the fight during the practice. The one guy goes off to locker room, cleans himself, comes back on the ice. Everything is normal. There's nothing.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. That's right. It's just everything back to normal. Business life goes on. Nothing. There's going to be that kind of a moment in the course of a long 82 game season, and sometimes that stuff happens. And I don't think you make too big of a deal out of it. All right, next up, final game on this Saturday card: Dallas Stars, San Jose Sharks. Dallas minus 155, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Certainly this is another one of those games where you should look at it and say, you know what, Dallas should win this game. They really should. They took care of business against Anaheim, although neither of those games were easy. They won them 3-2, and they needed overtime to win the second game against Anaheim 3-2. So neither of those games were easy for the Dallas Stars, but they should take care of business here against San Jose. Once again, I leaned to Dallas in regulation. I mean, that's basically the bet that I went with in both games against Anaheim. And I lean that way here. But I don't know. There's something that's a little bit more bothering me about this. And it's that San Jose's played well at home. They beat Anaheim. They beat Arizona. They gave Colorado a ton of fits on home ice. They nearly beat Florida at home. They shut out LA at home. No, they've actually played some pretty good hockey in the Shark Tank, the last several games that they've played at home. And Dallas is still just barely squeaking by in these games. Look at the Anaheim game. The first game, they were down 2-1, and they had to come back and win that game 3-2 in the third period. So, yeah, Dallas is taking care of business, but it hasn't been easy. If you've been betting Dallas and laying the big price here with them in those two games against Anaheim, you've been sweating it out right till the end. And I don't know if I feel like sweating it out with this team. They just don't do anything comfortably. They don't do anything easily. That's just the way it is with the Dallas Stars right now. And, I think that's the thing that's probably going to end up keeping me off this game is that. And also, of course, they play Seattle tomorrow night, the Dallas Stars, to wrap up this road trip. And then they play a lot of home games after that. So if somehow Dallas can win tonight and also win tomorrow night against Seattle, they're going to put themselves in a pretty good spot I really don't have a strong feel, though, for this game. As far as the goaltenders for this one, nobody has been confirmed as of yet. The expectation is it'll be James Reimer for San Jose, Jake Ottinger for Dallas. But again, we don't have that confirmed as of yet. So for me, this is a pass with just a small lean to Dallas in regulation, but I'm probably not going to pull the trigger this time around on that. What do you think here, Vito? Stars, Sharks?
Yeah, well, I've been following the Stars team. I mean, there have been a lot of talks, and many people have been talking about them because they are like the last team which is now close kind of to the playoffs. Which are in the fight with Nashville. I mean, and Vegas also. So and yeah, many people were telling that they were on the not a lot of flying around. And they might end up not being in playoffs because of that. But usually we see sometimes vice versa. So I think sneaky somehow this Stars team, they're gonna keep the games close. It's obviously it's gonna be a sweat if you're gonna bet Stars. Every single game. I think there's not gonna be blowouts because they will protect their net and try to get as much points as possible. They will not care to go to OT. They've been pretty lucky as well with OT. I think so. Let me actually check how's they've been okay with the overtime as well. So the Stars team, for them most important thing is to make the playoffs, and once they make the playoffs, that's where they start to make noise. So yeah, now this is gonna be the third game for them on the road. These two games against Ducks, as you said, yeah, they were very close games, so you never can be kind of sure about them. And just if you look a little bit from the Sharks side, for the Sharks, this is the third game in 4 days, with only 3 games this week. So again, and this team really don't have. They are. They will not make the playoffs most likely. We all can say that. I think pretty much sure. Yeah. Well, but yeah. Well, so they have nothing really to play for. So I don't like to play these games. But I think only way how to play this would be in the end Dallas, because still they need to be in this run. And yeah, I think that's the sneaky team which actually can somehow maybe in the end make the playoffs, by playing hard, tough hockey as they do now. So yes, this can go to OT, definitely. So no value with Dallas. I would like to play. I don't want to play minus 155. I would only way have to would like to play. Then it's a regulation. But as I said, Dallas will keep it tight. They will not run if it's gonna be tie game. They will be okay with that. So no, I don't like that. So I'm staying away.
Yeah, I agree. It's I've seen enough of Dallas in these two games against Anaheim that nothing is an easy win for them right now, and I could see it being that way again tonight for this Dallas Stars team, because San Jose is not rolling over playing dead. The effort has still been there most nights for the San Jose Sharks, and we'll see if they can give a pretty solid effort here tonight against Dallas and try to play spoiler. And see, sometimes teams relish the ability to do that. So we'll have to wait and see on that for sure. But definitely should be interesting to see how it goes with the Stars and the Sharks. All right, great stuff with Vito on this Saturday card. Thanks to him for joining us, as he always does on Saturday and Sunday here on the Ice Guys, and helping me out a little bit because, I'm definitely still not 100%, as you can tell. Still struggling to avoid a coughing fest on the air. But hopefully we'll be back to 100% sooner rather than later. And thanks to everyone on YouTube for tuning in live. Make sure you hit the like button as well. We appreciate that very much. And a reminder about DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL, giving you your shot to win big too. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's right. A bump in the win column for your team means free bets for you. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you still have a shot to light the lamp. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. must be 21 years of age or older. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right. Time for best bets now to wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Vito, we'll start with you. What do you like here for best bet?
Yeah, well, I guess I will go with the best number I had, and that would be the Carolina Hurricanes. Many reasons for me there. I think it's hard for the Wild to play the first game on the road after that long homestand. It was pretty successful homestand. They won a lot of games in a row, and then they end up losing the last one. So yeah, first game for them on the road. I don't think they will be the sharpest here tonight. So yeah, give me Carolina in a regulation. I think at the plus, even money somewhere, right?
Carolina. There we go. In regulation, plus 100 for Vito there. Carolina in regulation against Minnesota for his best bet. My best bet, if I can make it through it, is going to be the Calgary Flames -0.5, plus 120 first period against the St. Louis Blues. Great situation. They're not very thrilled about losing back-to-back games like they have against Colorado and Los Angeles. Spirited practice, got a little feisty yesterday for the team with their practice, and I think they show that aggression tonight on the ice. You have a fast start. You had a Blues team coming in late after an exhausting comeback that fell short against Edmonton. They expended a lot of energy to come back in that game, St. Louis. I think they're feeling it here tonight against Calgary. As we've all talked about earlier on the show, the Blues' track record on back-to-backs on the road is not good at all. They were in this situation in Calgary earlier this year on a back-to-back. They got drilled 7-1 in that game. I think early in the game, Calgary comes out, makes a statement. We'll go Calgary Flames -0.5, plus 120, first period puck line for my best bet on this Saturday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast whenever you can't watch the show live. For Renus Vitalins, a.k.a. Vito, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.